Hi folks, just want to make another quick video just about the intelligent design movement. Just to say that I mean, I don't agree with everything the intelligent design movement say. I'm more in the Ken Ham. Yep, I am. I'm more on the Ken Ham, Dr. Saraswati side. I'm the 6-day creationist, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm on that side, and you know, I'm not afraid of saying that. The reason why I keep going on about the intelligent design movement is because they're doing a particular work in a particular area, and I feel that they're not being heard by the scientific community nor by the academic community, and I think that this is seeped into the YouTube culture and people are not listening to what they're saying, and I'm just trying to show people a little bit that these people need to be heard. Alright, and it's as simple as that. I listened to, I'm just going to share with you a lecture by Meyer. He's in the intelligent design movement. He's wrote a book called The Signature of the Cell, which we'll probably discuss one day on the Socratic Club, and I'd encourage you to listen to his lecture on this issue. It was a masterful lecture, and I'm going to just present to you one or two things that he said. So forgive me if it's he said, he gave a quote, excuse me, it was Darwin's by Francis Ayala. It was Darwin's greatest accomplishment to show that directive organization of living beings can be explained as a result of natural process, natural selection, without anything to resort to a creator or other agent. So he gave a quote and starts off his lecture on that, which I don't agree with, obviously, and I don't think he fully agree with. He said biology is the study of complicated things. He quotes Dawkins from The Blind Watchmaker. Biology is the study of complicated things that give the appearance of having been designed for purpose. Richard Dawkins. Now, he quotes Francis Ayala and Richard Dawkins there. Now, this is what I call a good scholar. A good scholar is someone who listens to what the opponents are saying, quotes them in a fair way, and then deals with them. This is what Dr. Meyer has done. In his lecture, when he's lecturing on this subject, he's quoted two people, and he looks at what they say in a fair manner. That's far different than a Sam Harris or a Dawkins or even a Daniel Dennett, who don't even do that. So there's a massive difference there in approach to scholarship. Master scholarship, I say. He says many biologists are saying that mutations and natural selection is not enough to fulfill the big changes. So that's what he says. And others have said that as well, who are even atheists have said that. He said how in Darwin's time they thought the cell was just a simple bit of plasm, but since then, and he goes in the history of the understanding of the cell from 1860s to 90s right up to 1952, where Francis Crick gave the sequence hypotheses and thought there was a digital code within DNA, and he gives the history of how our understanding of the cell has developed. Very insightful. Then he goes, the problem of the origin of life is clearly basically equivalent to the problem of the origin of biological information. He quoted Dr. Bernd Olof Kuppers. What I noticed in his lecture, this Dr. Meyer, who's an intelligent design advocate, is quoting and engaging with the best scholarship in this field. Alright, that's what I noticed. So this is a man of great eminent scholarly ability as far as I'm concerned. In his lecture he looks at mathematical theory, reductionist probability, specificity, specify complexity. And then he quotes Dawkins, the machine code of the gene is uncannily computer-like. Apart from differentness in jargon, the pages of a molecular biology journal might interchange with these of our computer. I can't read the rest of the quote, but he's quoting Dawkins saying that the DNA code is very similar to kind of computer codes or machine codes. He goes up to 1971 about the development of the cell. I'm just going through my notes just to give you an idea that this guy is really tackling topics, you know, in a deep way. Talks about this huge information in RNA. Talks about Michael Polanyi. He goes on a lot about inference to the best explanation, which I thought was a brilliant. And basically the whole lecture that he's doing, I'll put it under here, was basically saying, look, this is the way Charles Darwin looked at this issue. This is where we've moved on. We've moved on from there. But taking some basic principles that Darwin used and new information that we have, looking at the origin of life, the beginning of life, he talks about the inference of the best explanation, and he talks about that the origin of life, the very origin of life, could have only become from a designer. And he argues the case extremely well. I just wanted to just share a few little notes of what I listened to in his lecture. I want to read his book, The Signature of the Cell. I read a paper of his on the history of intelligent design, and one of the things that I get from Stephen Meyer is he's done his work on the philosophy of science. And I think a lot of these atheists out there and evolutionists are very weak at this and are not really listening to this guy. This guy knows what he's talking about when he's talking about the philosophy of science.